My name is Bernard West, and today we'll be talking about my school life.
What was middle school like for you? Was it
Middle
dangerous?
middle school life, yes, I grew up in Philadelphia, and middle school was kind of dangerous. I moved from Washington D.C. when my mother left my father for the last grade of elementary, and then I went to Sayre Junior High School in Philadelphia, which were a lot of gangs. I did belong to a gang, but we called ourselves a club called the Barbary Coast. But the biggest gang was called the Zulus.
How old were you when you were in this gang?
I was probably 14 years old and in the gang and in middle school, and I got in a little bit of a problem there. I ran around with a gentleman named Joseph Reeves. He was my best friend, and I met him in elementary school, which was kind of unique because from Washington D.C., where I came from, when you got in a fight, you did everything you can, find a rock, a stick, or whatever. And so he was one of these what they call captains, where he handled traffic for kids coming and going. And I crossed the street, I guess what he called illegal, and tried to push me back. And so I pushed him, and all of a sudden we had a fight. Now, I fell down, and he kind of said, "Come on, get up, get up." I fell down and I slipped. But then when he fell down, when I hit him, I tried to step on his head, and everybody that was watching going, "Whoa, who is this guy from Washington D.C.? He's trying to stomp on Joe's head." And then naturally the fight stopped. But after that, his father came over. His father was a captain of the police department. Came over and introduced himself and brought Joe with him, and so we became friends. He was even my best man at my marriage. But in any case, he got into this fight at Sayre Junior High with one of these Zulu guys, and he was losing the fight. So naturally, he's my buddy. I jumped in and started beating the other guy up, both of us. And as the fight was ending, a couple of these Zulu guys, because teachers had came out to stop it, said that they were going to get me tomorrow. They were going to absolutely get me. And I think I was in eighth grade then. And so what happened was I decided to bring this large Bowie knife to school, thinking, "Hey, you're going to get me? I got to have a weapon." So I put the weapon in, and I go to class. Well, the weapon is so big, somebody spotted it, and lo and behold, uh, I was kicked out of that school, and I went to summer school to graduate from middle school, and I was sent to a school called the Philadelphia High School of Agriculture and Horticulture, which were for kids like that. But going back to middle school just a little bit before I talk about high school, Joe and I hooky school one day, and hooky in school was they had truant officers, but you had to just kind of keep ducking them. So we hooky school, but I got caught. Joe didn't get caught. He ran a lot faster than me. So I hooky school. I got caught. They took me back. Assistant principal and I guess one of the teachers, and we're sitting in the room, and I'm praying to God, "God, please let them call my mother. Please let them call my mother." And they wind up not getting her, and they got my father. My father comes in. He didn't even look around the room. He goes right for the belt, and he's got the buckle side. He's beating the heck out of me, and I'm running. I run down the hall. All the kids are coming out of the hall, and I'm screaming. I fall down, and by then the assistant principal and the teacher catch up with me, and they said, "Mr. West, if you don't stop beating on that kid, we're gonna call the police." So he stops, and they had me come back into the assistant principal's office. We're sitting there for 15 minutes. Nobody's saying a word. And all of a sudden, he comes over to me and says, "Bernard, you feel comfortable going home with your dad?" And I'm going, "What?" I said that to myself because naturally my dad is only like 5 feet away. And what am I going to say? No, I can't. So I said, "Oh, yes, I feel comfortable, sir." They said, "Okay, take him home, Mr. West. Do not bring him in tomorrow, though. Let's have a day off and let's talk about how we're going to go forward with this boy or this child." So anyhow, people don't know this. So this is the first time you hear this. When we go outside to the car, he opens up the trunk of the car and puts me in the trunk of the car. Now I'm thinking, since I'm from a very large family, I'm from a family, I had 16 of us. I have 15 brothers and sisters. And I'm thinking, he's going to kill me. I'm in the trunk of the car, bouncing up and down. In those days, there's no latch or anything to get out. It was a sedan. It wasn't an SUV where I could look out windows and anything. And we get to the house, and he opens the thing and says, "Get out, boy." So I get out, and one thing I do notice, he has not put his belt back on. So I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this is bad. So we go into the house, sit in the living room, and I'm over in the corner. He says, "Come here, boy." And I take a couple steps. He said, "Come here, boy." And I take a couple steps. He says, "Stop that and just come here." So I come over close to him. He says, "Listen, if I ever have to leave work again for you, I will kill you. Now get out of this house, and I don't want to see you anymore." So naturally, I shoot out of the house. I wait till about 11 o'clock at night after he's gone to bed, and I take and come back in. And the next day, everything was normal again. So that was my experience in middle school.
So you went to a farm school after you got kicked out of middle school. Was that a boarding school, or did you have to commute?
No, I had to commute. It was like over 2 hours. I had to catch like 3 buses to get to this school. And I hate to say this, but they had cows, chickens, pigs, all of that kind of stuff. It's just unbelievable. It was just unbelievable. I like to tell a joke right now, but I guess I have to. My family is from farming, and they have farms. Had farms through Virginia, upstate New York, and Black Anguses and stuff. And so all summer, in the summer, I used to go to my cousin's farm in Culpeper. And so, but the nice thing about it, my mom used to send me there for 2 or 3 weeks during the summer. The nice thing about this farm is that they really didn't want me to do any work. You know, they used to get up at like 4:35 in the morning and do all kinds of work in the field and all that, then come back and eat breakfast at 8, and then they go do work. So since I'm there, I'm thinking, what the heck? You know, let me help out. So I get a bucket, and I'm going to go out and milk the cow. There's a cow I saw out in the field. So I go out with the bucket and the cow, and I'm working on this cow for about 15 to 20 minutes. I can't get any milk out of this cow. I don't know what's going on. So I come back. So my cousin, when I'm coming back, he says, "Where you been, Bernard? Where you been?" I said, "Oh, I've been trying to help out." So I went in the field and tried to milk that cow you got. He said, "Cow? All we have is a bull out there." All right, moving along.
That's a joke, though, right?
Yeah, that's a joke. Yeah, that's a joke.
Did you pick up actual like farming skills?
Oh
with
well,
farm school?
I made my subject. I hate to say this, but I made my subject horticulture, which is flowers and plants. You know, pachysanders and roses and stuff, daisies and stuff. So I made that my main subject. I was terrible to even thinking about. I should have, but I didn't want to get out there with the cows and the chickens and the pigs and all that kind of stuff. So I thought horticulture would be a better way. But you know, I was a guy. You know, being from a large family and everything. I was never a bully. I used to be one of the leaders in the school when I was going to the Philadelphia High School Agriculture and Horticulture, and people looked up to me. I did have one experience in high school that I never had any fights in high school because, you know, I'm a big guy. I was 6'3", over 200 pounds. And also, it was just me and this other gentleman. I can't remember his name now. I'm getting old. That kind of like people looked up to us. So anyhow, I'm in the class. The class was, it wasn't physics. I think it was statistics, I believe. And naturally, I did have to go to summer school a couple of years. I'm not going to kid you. I wasn't an A student or anything. But I'm sitting in class, and Dr. Norton, I think the teacher's name was Norton. He said, "Okay." He puts a question on the board and says, "What's the answer?" But he was the kind of teacher that didn't have you raise your hand. He would just call your name out. And so I'm sitting there, you know, naturally not paying attention. And because I'm saying, hey, I'm going to go to summer school anyhow. What the hell do I know about this stuff? So anyhow, and he calls me. He says, "Bernard, what's the answer to the question?" So there's a guy behind me says, 8.63. And I say, 8.63, Dr. Norton. And he goes, "What did he say?" I said, 8.63. He said, "Stand up." I stand up. He said, "Now tell the class the answer." And the guy behind me says, 8.63. And I yell out, 8.63. And he yells back, "Sit down, you dummy. What the hell are you talking about? 8.63. And I sit down, And all my time, the rest of the time I'm in that class, I'm thinking about killing somebody. And the kid behind me. So class bell rings, I turn around, and man, that kid shot out of that class, man, so fast. But that was really my only experience. When I caught up to him, he was very apologetic and, what have you. And another thing, from being a large family, a lot of times I didn't have lunch money. And there were two people, but one in particular used to buy me lunch once in a while. And I tried to contact him through Facebook recently and thank him again. But I was not able to pick up, so I hope he hasn't passed away yet. But he used to just give me lunch money. And I said, no, you don't have to do that. And he said, no, go ahead. Because nobody made me lunch and everything from my family. As a matter of fact, nobody even knew my name in the family. My dad used to call me, hey, you, boy. But what really made me upset was the fact that sometimes he called me the dog's name. And the dog was, I had friends over sometime, and he said, come here, Queenie. And the damn dog was named Queenie. And I said, Dad, come on, man, cut that out. I said, this is ridiculous. Calling me Queenie in front of my friends because he never knew my name. And to be honest with you, to say how tough it was being from a family that large is when I graduated from high school, my mom and dad never came to my graduation, never showed up at all. And so the next day after I graduated from high school, I had $181 in my pocket because during the whole time, even middle school through high school, I used to have newspapers. I have a newspaper right. I used to have a wagon. I used to pick up things, try to make extra money, bottles and stuff. And because I never had any allowance or anything like that, all my clothes were hand-me-downs. And so I packed my bags up and I left home. And here's the funny part. As I leave home, the next day I go to Washington, nothing's happened. Then I wind up going out to Kansas. But I'm gone over 4 months, almost 4 months, 3.5 months. Well, my sister Diane knew that my mom knew I was after that I was going to Washington. So my sister didn't. I think she knew I just left. She didn't know when. So she calls Diane and says, "Diane, have you seen Bernard? I haven't seen him in the last couple days. I've been gone. I've been gone like almost 4 months." And she's telling my sister she hasn't seen me in a couple days. I'm going, what the heck? Back to the other thing about being poor is when I graduated from elementary school, 6th grade to the middle school, they call it junior high in those days. I didn't have any shoes, and I was not want to go to graduation. No, I'm not going. I only had sneakers. And my mom kept saying, "No, you're gonna go. You're gonna go." I'm putting up a fuss and everything. I said, "Mom, they're gonna see I got sneakers on." And so she takes it, says, "Get out of. You're gonna go." They never came, but I go. So as soon as I get in there, somebody goes, Bernard's got sneakers on. He don't have no shoes. He can't afford shoes. But, when you're poor like that, you have a little bit of wit about you. And so I said, yeah, I wore sneakers. My mom tried to make me wear shoes. But at lunchtime, I'm playing basketball. And everybody went, whoa, okay, there you go. So I kind of got over that with my little bit of wit.